I'm glad that we were able to connect. I know that earlier this afternoon there was a little bit of trouble and miscommunication, but I'm glad that we were able to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad as well. No worries about that. Let's talk about this documentary you're about to release. Is there a release date already?
Yes, it will be March 30th.
Oh, all right. Right on. But,
yeah,
but
so we're coming up. Yeah.
It actually took like 3 years to make it.
Yeah, it's been a long process. I guess from start to finish, it will have been probably about 4 years.
Wow.
From the get-go of the Indiegogo campaign that we started to raise the funds to do the documentary. So we raised the funds. We raised a little over 200% of our goal. And then over the course of the next few years, we actually were filming and sourcing our footage and that sort of thing. So it's interesting. I mean, this is the first time that I've ever been involved in anything like this, and I really didn't understand or realize how much work actually goes into making a movie.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work, and there's especially for a movie of this kind where we're sourcing a lot of old footage, so we had to dig through all of our old archives and look through thousands of hours of literally concert footage and backstage stuff and recording the making of all of our albums and whatnot to pick the best stuff for an hour and a half, right? So it was a very long and taxing process, but I mean finally it's getting done, so I'm really excited about that.
And are you actually releasing a book about the band as well?
That will be coming, yes. We actually have had to sort of focus more on the documentary just because things started to kind of happen quicker with that. But there will be a book as well as promised to, for the Indiegogo campaign. That was one of the perks that we had offered. I don't know if it will be released worldwide or anything like that, but we would definitely, at the very least, will have some books for the Indiegogo backers, as well as perhaps a limited number for release as well.
Did the guy who wrote Rex Brown's biography involved in this book?
We were talking with Mark Eglinton, yes, and at this point he still, I believe, is part of the project, but we'll have to see where it goes from here, because there have been a few roadblocks. So.
Yeah, all right. That book is really interesting. I read it 2 years ago, I think. I really like it. Did you have the chance to read the book from Rex?
No, I have not, but I know he also did Adam Darsky, Nurgle, from Behemoth's book, and I do have that, and had a chance to sort of look at that, and I have met Rex before. I can imagine he has some pretty interesting stories, being in such a legendary band, and I mean, even just seeing a little bit of that, back on Ozzfest when we toured with Pantera, was pretty mind-blowing, so I can imagine that his book would be very entertaining, to say the least.
I bet. About this documentary, a lot of fans are asking about your former bass player, Talena. Is she going to appear on the documentary as well?
Yeah, there is footage of her in the documentary. She will. There's archival footage of her in there. I mean, we're telling the story of the band, and she was, a part of the band, and so she'll be a part of it.
Is there any interview from her?
She unfortunately declined, respectfully, to do an updated interview. She didn't think it was in her best interest to do so, but she still will be appearing in the documentary.
Yeah, because I remember that the first promo, like 3 years ago, she was on that first trailer, talking about this documentary, but like on the update version of it, she was no longer part of it. So a lot of fans were confused about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, things happen, and I mean, Talena and I have been in contact, and everything is good. She wished us well with the documentary, but she just was unfortunately not able to be a part of the updated portion.
All right. Let's talk about the music evolution of Kittie.
Sure.
It's actually a very interesting topic because you guys started like a, let's say, a type new metal band back in early 2000, but you guys evolved into a much more melodic stuff with Funeral for Yesterday. But later on, you were into much more brutal and intricate style with In the Black, and of course, I Failed You. So my question is, what does it take to evolve, to take that big step from Spit until I Failed You?
Oh wow. Well, I mean, I think the evolution of the band was natural. It wasn't something that we consciously thought about. I mean, I feel like I have to sort of remind myself as well that, when we first started the band and we were writing those first songs from Spit, we were, 12, 13, 14 years old. We were essentially children.
Yeah.
And so, as we were growing up, with our musical tastes and, our abilities, we were also growing up as people. And so, as we grow, we obviously, try new things. We evolve into the people that we're going to become, and we are constantly evolving. And so it was a strange scenario for us because we were doing that, but we were also doing it through our music and also in the public eye. So it's an interesting thing to have, everything, that you're doing as you're growing, sort of being watched by the public. From, I guess, the first few albums, we wanted to prove ourselves as a heavy band. So from Spit to Oracle, we were, there's a jump there where you can sort of hear that we're, we were consciously trying to be, a little more heavy, and exploring, a more metal, kind of more like almost doom kind of feel. And then, until the end, we kind of were embracing a little bit more of the melodic side of things. And then Funeral for Yesterday was a big change. But it's interesting because I think the songwriting on that album is fantastic, and a lot of people, that is their favorite album because it's so different. So it is, I don't know, if there's anything that I've learned, it's that you can't please everyone.
Exactly.
And, while we're all very, very proud of all of the music that we've done, the production on Funeral for Yesterday, if I could do it all over again, there might be some things that I would change, but I love those songs. Those songs are exactly the way that I wanted them to be, So, but because of our experience with, Funeral for Yesterday being so different, when we, signed the new deal with E1, we wanted to sort of go back to basics, and within the Black, and then I Failed You afterwards, that meant sort of getting back to, our heavy metal roots and writing songs that were, age appropriate for us, and our playing abilities and whatnot. So we wanted to take it back to that raw, heavy kind of feeling, but also, make it one
fresh,
of the best
right?
album ever. And I love In the Black. It's one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best albums that we've done. I'd say, if not my favorite album.
All right. Let's talk about your voice influences, because even during the Spit era, what I noticed about your voice is that you didn't sound like a typical new metal guy that was screaming and then comes the chorus and you are trying to do this melodic voice. It sounds much more different. It actually sounds better than that. So
Thank you.
No problem. So my question is, what were your voice influences, singer influences back then during the era of speed?
Oh, I'm gonna have to try to take it back and remember. Well, I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like when we first started and we were writing, that first album, like nu metal, we weren't really like that. I mean, we listened to like bands like Korn and stuff like that, but I feel like the first Marilyn Manson album, Portrait of an American Family, was a big influence.
Yeah, great album.
Yeah, oh god, it's still one of my favorite albums of all time. I can listen to it front to back and never get tired of it. And so, like, a lot of the songwriting on that album was a big influence. Maybe a little bit of the vocals. I'm just trying to think who else. Definitely Pantera. Phil Anselmo was always like a big influence. I would say Terry B from Tourist Talena, My Ruin. We definitely were, especially Tanya and I, our very first bass player. We were influenced by her, and I mean, she has an amazing screaming voice. And there weren't very many women that like I could sort of at that time I guess look at it and be like, wow, like that's like a heavy metal voice, especially like mid '90s and that sort of thing. To me, I think that was always really impressive to me. So yeah, I would say those are a few of the biggest ones.
And what about other bands that are not metal?
Oh, other bands that are not metal.
Yeah.
Ooh. In terms of like vocals,
approach, yeah.
Definitely Jonah from Far was definitely a big, vocal and musical influence. I love the band Far, and Jonah's gone on to do a number of different projects, including like solo projects and stuff. And he's always been a huge influence, and I've been a huge fan of his music for a really long time, so that's a big one. I'm trying to think what else I was sort of listening to back then. Oh man, so much. Silverchair, that was a big one back. That was a big one back in when we were first starting, musically as well as vocally. The more melodic side of things, I would say, for sure. And I always found that band was. We really enjoyed them because we felt like we could, seeing a band that was the same age as us, make it. We were like, we could do this too. It gave us hope, and yeah, so that was a big influence too.
Oh, all right. Are you already working on a new album? Because it's been almost like 7 years since I failed you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Well. With the documentary, the tangible copy, we have a DVD and a Blu-ray, and there's also going to be a live album that will be released. And we actually went into our archives and dug out stuff from all the way from back from the first album, like from some of the first tours that we did, all the way up to the last show that we did in October, which was the 20th anniversary reunion show that we did, which was a lot of fun. But we aren't working on any new music as it is right now, but the documentary, I think, serves the purpose in that it sort of allows us to sort of get back into things and maybe open the door and see what kinds of potential there may be. But we aren't working on anything new at this point in time. But I mean, the documentary certainly has been, and the live album has been something that we've been working on pretty much nonstop for the last few years. So it's kind of been the main focus.
But why didn't you guys release a studio album in 2014, 2015 before you got into the making of the documentary? Were you too busy with your regular day jobs or something like that?
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we were touring off of I Failed You up until, I guess, 2013. We finished touring, I guess, the main tours in 2012, and then we had a few shows in 2013. And it was I don't know. It was just sort of a conscious effort to sort of slow things down. I mean, it's no secret that the music industry is not necessarily as lucrative as it once had been.
Yeah, sadly.
And, you know, I think our main focus sort of became more, you know, like, let's just try to do this because we really want to do it, you know, as opposed to having to continue to be on tour for 9 months out of the year type thing.
All right.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. You know, we deserve to rest as well, I think.
Yeah, of course. Did you get a new bass player? You know, since Trish sadly passed away almost a year ago, or is it is Ivy going back to the band? Ivy, right?
Well, as it stands right now, we have not employed or hired anybody new or gotten a new bass player. I mean, it's a tough thing when you lose someone that is your best friend as well as your bandmate. You know, it's a hard place to fill. And I mean, when we did the 20th anniversary show, Ivy did play with us, and I'm sure that if there was any opportunity, you know, to maybe do some more shows and that sort of thing, that Ivy would definitely be probably the person that we would go to. But I mean, she, you know, lives in America now. She lives in the States. She's not in Canada anymore. So I don't know. I guess I think that would have to be something that we would discuss. But she would obviously be my first choice.
All right. I saw an interview from you from the year 2012, maybe. You said that two of the most impressive things that you had in your career was Ozzfest and tour in South America.
Yes.
Please explain why South America is such an important chapter in your history in the band, you know.
I mean, I look back at that time, and I regret not being able to make it to as many places as we should have, but I just know that our South American fans are the most intense, the most dedicated, the most passionate fans that I've ever met anywhere in my career. And I've toured in a lot of places. Nowhere compares to the kind of passion and excitement, especially that South American metal fans have. And our experience there, you know, it made me feel like a rock star, like for real. Like it was. You know, we played to like amazing crowds, and when we were done the show, we came outside, and literally everyone was outside waiting to say hello, you know, for a kiss, for a hug, for a picture.
We like to do that,
Yes, and we stood outside for like hours afterwards, you know, just saying hello to people and talking, and it was just a really wonderful experience to meet everyone, to say thank you, to sort of get caught up in all of that passion. And our South American fans have always been number one. And I know that we haven't had the opportunity, like I said, as much as I would have liked to go down there. But you know, there's a special place in my heart for everyone. Honestly, that will go down in history, and I have said that in many interviews since. You know, Ozzfest was definitely something, and the South American tour was very memorable, a lot of fun.
And you know what's the best part about that?
What's that?
That you haven't played Peru yet.
I know. It's terrible.
So would
and we have so many fans in Peru. I know.
Would you like to come down here at some point?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I know Tara has visited Peru in recent years, just, you know, as a tourist, and as someone who loves your culture as well. And she said it was amazing, and I definitely would. I think it would be amazing. I would love that.
And I think Trish also came down here to Peru to visit some girl named Carol. Maybe I'm not sure about that. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Trish did.
Because there is a female metal band here in Peru, and this girl who played bass in that band did a barbecue in her house, and I saw a picture, and there was Trish, and I was like, what the fuck? Is that the bass player from Kittie?
Whoa, that is really weird.
Yeah, but maybe I'm making a mistake here, but I'm 100% sure that it was a Kittie member. I'm not sure if it was
maybe
Tara,
it was Tara,
or Trish.
because Tara, like I said, Tara did go down to Peru. She has some friends that were in a metal band, and she was hanging out with a bunch of people for like a couple weeks. So maybe it was Tara that you're thinking of.
It was like 5 years ago.
Because I do know that she was there.
All right, so it was Tara for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Spit for a little bit.
Sure.
I've seen your set list over the years, and you guys don't play many songs from Spit. You actually had like a medley that was consisted from the song Spit and Charlotte and Brackish, right? My question is, why don't you play many songs from that album?
Well, I mean, it's tough when you have an hour set and you have 6 albums that you want to be able to represent. You know, maybe, especially if you're promoting a new album, sometimes you have to sort of, put some of the older albums on the back burner, but that makes it more exciting, right? When you hear like, Spit or Brackish. But I'm pretty sure we've always included at least 1 or 2 songs in our set from Spit. The medley, I think, was definitely during the In the Black era, I think. So probably just because we were promoting an album, we wanted to, play as many new songs as possible. But I mean, I guess the same could be said for some of, our other albums like Oracle. I don't think we've played too many songs from Oracle either. Maybe like 2 or 3. I don't know, it's hard because like we try to mix it up as much as possible, and I know that a lot of people do want to hear the old stuff, but we still want to be able to make our set as well-rounded as possible, right?
Yeah. You always like to concentrate on the new stuff to promote the newest CD, right? Which is great.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for us, it's our career has always felt like we were constantly trying to prove that prove to everyone that that we're, a great band, and prove to ourselves as well. We just feel like we have a lot to prove in that regard, and so, being able to play, the newer songs, which are, faster, and there's, more picking, more solos, more brutal, that's the type of thing that, I think is great for a concert, and it definitely allows us to sort of, show the world that, we're not just what we were when we were teenagers,
It's been like 19 years since Spit was, or 18 years since Spit was released. How do you feel today? How do you feel today in this year about those lyrics that were written when you were a teenager, like 14 years old, maybe? How do you feel today about them?
Old. I feel old. And the 18th anniversary of Spit just passed on the 18th, I think.
Yeah, a few days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like last week. I mean, it's tough to really see eye to eye with the person that I was then, because I feel like I'm not that person now. But I think those feelings are still there. We've all experienced, things as teenagers that shape us, that change who we are, our experiences and whatnot. But sometimes when you are grown up and you look back at them, you think, oh man, like I thought this was the end of the world back then, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. It's just a learning experience. So I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the fact that it's sort of like a time capsule for who I was then and what goes on, or what did go on in my mind. But I'm glad that I feel like I've evolved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't regret anything, for sure. Like, I love those lyrics. I think they were exactly what the music needed at that time. And it's the lyrics, I think, a lot of the lyrics that made people so shocked and so, like, curious about the band as well. So it was a good thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Back in the Oracle tour, you had a guy on your lineup, Jeff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was playing.
Yeah.
Who was playing guitar. Did you feel weird playing with a man on stage? Because Kittie was an all-female band. That was like your identity, right?
Well, yes and no. Again, I think with Jeff was someone that we had known for a long time. He was our guitar tech for most of the first album cycle with Spit. So, he was there, at Ozzfest. He was there at a lot of our shows, pretty much all through 2000. And then when Fallon had left the band, we were really sort of in a pinch. We didn't know what to do. And so, because, Jeff was there, he had literally seen every single show that we had just done in the last year and a half. It made sense to have him come out and fill in and play guitar for us. And he's sort of an unofficial member of the band. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't strange because, we were great friends, and he had already been out on the road with us for, at least a year and a bit. So it wasn't awkward. It would have been more awkward to be standing up there with a stranger, somebody that we didn't know, even if they were a woman. But again, for us, we tried to make the emphasis not always about, being women. That was never like the main objective. It was like, okay, well, we're a band, we play music, it shouldn't really matter who is up on stage. Jeff is a man, he plays guitar very well, and we sound great, and we're still able to tour and play shows because he was able to help us out. So, I'm grateful for that experience, and I know, a lot of people wondered or have questioned about that, and I don't know, it's just about family, like mm-hmm. he was sort of part of our family, so it made sense.
All right, last question. What's the craziest story from the Pantera tour?
The craziest story? Oh my.
Don't be shy.
Oh, okay. There have been a number of crazy stories. We've been, like lots of strip club stuff, lots of at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
But I think one of my favorite stories was on Ozzfest, where Dime had, I can't remember if I think it might have been the 4th of July. I can't remember, but Dime had bought like $10,000 worth of fireworks, like a lot of fireworks,
yeah.
Like more fireworks than you see at like the park during a celebration for your country's birthday, like crazy. And it was in the parking lot after the show. Everybody, is on their bus and they drink, and everybody's hanging out in the parking lot, and he's shooting off fireworks all night long. And they had a cutout of Britney Spears, like a cardboard cutout, full life size, and they were shooting fireworks at that. They're shooting fireworks at buses and people. It was so much fun. Like fireworks and alcohol should not mix.
Yeah.
But because it's dangerous, but it was fun. It was so much fun, and that's one of my favorite nights, my favorite stories. It was really good. It was wild.
All right. Where can we get the documentary? On Amazon? eBay?
Yes. Okay. So there will be Amazon. You'll definitely be able to purchase on Amazon, as well, it will be released digitally through, I believe, The Orchard in over 60 countries, including all the South American countries. So you'll be able to purchase it digitally as well as on Amazon. So yeah, we will absolutely. You'll be able to get it pretty much anywhere where you would be able to purchase, a movie. So.
No, all right, right on.